So we got the vehicle home and it rained the rest of the night. So we looked a little around on the inside, took some measurements and that. But now with the sun out the next day, we were able to do other things, like I got up on the roof and checked the distance for what's the maximum solar panel I can put on sideways. So the basic body inside consists of, there's this corrugated plastic as walls, and we can't find any evidence we ordered that. We certainly didn't pay for it. It makes the van nice and quiet, even though all it is using air as insulation. There's 3 sound panels on the roof. They probably have a lot to do with quieting it down. I ordered the rear heater air conditioner, thinking it would probably be quite useful. And I guess one scenario would be, for example, you are on a road trip and you stop to make lunch and you've had the air conditioning on, and so basically the van is cool. So all of the surfaces have been cooled down, and then you don't get as hot. It's sort of bigger than I thought. I thought it would be kind of hidden in the wall, but it's bigger than that. This is where we're going to be having a bed, so at least it's in a place that's tolerable. There's a vent where the air comes out, and that I'm going to have to extend up above the bed. It's going to have to go about a foot or so higher, and then we'll have a vent coming out above the bed so that it'll just get the air into the living space without getting stuck in the garage. It appears as though this has cooling pipes, like you can see them right there. They run to the compressor in the front of the engine, so I don't think it's feasible to relocate this, even if I wanted to. So we ordered it with lights inside, and I didn't know, it was already on the internet. I could have searched for it. They come on when the doors are open, and people who have it as a service vehicle and have the doors propped open at a service call, they complain that it runs the battery down. Our problem is we want to turn them on when we're camping. What I believe we'll end up doing is letting them function the way they are, so that your lights come on at night when you go to get in the vehicle. However, I'll probably run another set of lights that's optimized for the layout of the van for use while we're in the vehicle and it's switched off. So this runs for a certain amount of time after you turn the key off, and then they go out. You can see at the very front there, there's a rack over top of the seats, and we knew that's going to be extremely useful because we were forever storing everything we could in every cubbyhole in the Rondo. After watching innumerable videos about the cargo lights, I watched this one short on YouTube, and the lady pointed us to that, and I took it off and it's not that. But right across from it, there's this, and I pressed it, and the cargo lights just came on. Earlier they were on when I opened the doors, and I pressed it, and the cargo lights went off. Cool. So Jenny and I spent quite a while looking at bed designs, and we've currently got as our best favorite one so far was an a U-shaped bed. Basically a square king-size bed, but you pull out the middle and make it into a couches to raise a table. The table will be half the length of the cutout, so you'd actually just have some aisle space there. So I've gone and taken out the cardboard, no, it's like corrugated plastic panels from these 2 sides, so the sections that are still at the bottom. And the reason I did that was basically just to have a quick measure. So making an assumption that we put some soundproofing on the inside of those panels, and then a cover over top of that. I measured across and found out that it was basically 76.5 inches. My bed that I sleep in upstairs is 79, and I believe I was looking at 72 inches as literally being top of head to bottom of flat feet. So it seems like we don't need flares. If we're a little careful on the thickness of the insulation, we don't need flares to be able to to sleep either way in here, but currently the design is a 69-inch by 69-inch bed, which is at a level that is right at the sill of the back door. And the reason to do that was just to take advantage of this part here, where it's a little wider than the, say, between the wheel wells or the bit above the wheel wells. I've looked into this switch here. I took the cover off and it can easily be unplugged, and then I can extend the wiring. All I have to do is to choose where I want to put it, and I wouldn't have to use that gray panel. I could just take the switch out of that and put it somewhere convenient. I also found that the lights, when I turn them on, they stay on for a few minutes and turn off, or if the doors are open and I press the button, they turn off. I believe also they're turning off on their own if I leave the doors open long enough. I guess that's because of that long-standing problem with when these are used as a work van and people have the doors open for a long time at a site and are killing the battery. So I backed the car in right next to the workshop so that I can work on it, but it's a little heavy for the grass. And with the van backed in off the road, I put a piece of 4x4 in front of the curb, so I can just have the van right beside my workshop. So this is the last look at it without anything added. I took out these panels ready to put the bed in. I've ordered the soundproofing and insulation package, so that's coming. And okay, it's time to start cutting and installing. So the end of the first half day of renovations involved going out to the store and working out with them the exact lumber requirements I needed from the bill of materials I made yesterday. Then bringing it home, and I've cut the first 4 posts and I've attached them to the van. I also had to pull off more of the corrugated plastic that was sound deadening on the inside of the van. And I've ordered a bunch of supplies today as well, including the whole sound deadening package for van conversions. It's supposed to double as insulation. So as you can see, we're going for a reasonably high bed. And these are the only points on the back half of the bed where it's going to actually attach to the van. Everything else attaches to these, and the supports on the floor will simply rest on the floor. I won't drill holes in it. The dog's sleeping on the job.
The operation started right now, and Kaya seems okay and she stays there. We started with the bed, then the insulation. Then we already got the fan, and I have to put on the roof. Lots of things to do, but this is just start. Kaya already thinking this is her room, her house.
Yep, she's just ready for us to drive away. So I now have the basic framing in for the bed, and although it looks like it's due to be a fixed bed, the idea is after putting the bedboard on, doing all the cutouts and everything around the edges, and then the place for the table, and there's also a little bit that leads up to the table. So in other words, those 2 2x2s both get cut, and they have to have supports go down to the floor, and then there's a place to walk halfway down the bed. But I want to put the whiteboard on first. So that's been attached to the 4 supports inside here. And so far I have not drilled any holes in the body. I used existing holes and just bolted through to them. So on this side, I had to space it out because this 2x4 that extends down to where the galley will be, which will probably be used, unless I cut it off, it'll be used in the construction of the galley. This one over here, I didn't space it out because I was more concerned with just having it close to the edge. Because it'll all be covered, the fact that it's actually at a slight angle won't show above the bed anyway. And so this is actually a very slightly Y-shaped bed frame. And there it is from the front side. So where that end there on the other side of the van ends, that's actually the 69 inches I need to sleep, going head by the door and feet hanging off the end of the bed very, very slightly. And then the galley is going to go here, and the idea is that when you open the door, part of the galley is accessible from inside and outside.
Oh, the bed is coming.
That's my side. So we've put in the frame for the bed and put the first part of the bedboard on. They come in 4x8 sheets of melamine, and so we put it sideways 6 feet, and then it comes out 4 feet, and then the next board goes on. I've bolted that down. Theoretically, that's permanently there. You can see where the piece of the table has come out. Further forward of that, that there will be an aisleway up to the end of where the table is. I put 1x2s as the supports here because they need to have a support down to the floor, whereas further back the 2x4 spans the whole thing, and for the garage, for the sake of the garage, there are no supports for the rear 2x4s. So because I was concerned I would calculate the lengths of the 1x2 or the 2x2s incorrectly, I simply installed them right the way across, and then I'm going to cut the middle piece out now that the bedboard is installed. So that second 2x2 back is going to get cut shortly. Then I have to put in supports down to the floor, and I have to brace them. We haven't yet done any floor treatment. That will be done, but we haven't even had a chance to research what exactly we're going to settle on. We want it to be comfortable, thin, and insulating. In case I hadn't mentioned it earlier, we settled on calling our camper van Little Gray. So this is Little Gray. She's parked on the lawn next to the shed that I have my workshop in, so that it was quick to run in and out with tools. And as I mentioned before, that piece of lumber that's sticking out ahead of the door, halfway across the door opening, that's going to be the support for the galley where we cook. Made a little more progress this morning. The extra feet that had to go in, well, 2 of them are in, the ones where the table goes in. So basically, given that I do have the temporary table until we find a one with a nice finish, I have the back 4 feet of the bed completed, including the cutout for the table. So I'm going to have one fixed board. It's going to go here to complete this piece of bed. So my head goes up there at the end, and my feet are at the bottom here. And then what I still have to do is put a foot down here. We're choosing the length of our galley, which is going to be shorter than that piece of bed. It's going to stick out of the van less than that piece of bed. So that means that the last piece of bedboard here is going to be extra long and is going to move all the way in to meet the distance that the galley is out from the wall, but the galley is about a foot higher. So basically this just becomes the bed, and if you take the mattress off, then there's just a board underneath the counter at this point. The rest of the galley is on that piece of wood that's sticking out. So it's got table or a counter, and then a place where we would expect probably to put a sink, and then it'll have a tray that goes across it to make basically a piece of counter 4 feet long and about 16 inches out. So it'll be a fairly big counter. And then of course we have absolutely no plans yet for this whole piece of wall. probably storage. Could be even some more table. So little grazed bedboard is done. We have ordered the mattresses today. So there's 4 feet to the floor and 4 feet attached to the body. So to remove this is amazingly easy. You just simply unscrew a few screws around the bedboard, take that out, and then unscrew another, I think it's 4 screws, and then the whole bed frame can come out. And the reason I have to do that is because we're going to put on a floor at some point. We're even going to take it out so that the guy doing the installations on the roof can do his work. So anyway, the whole idea is that we have what is effectively, I've been measuring it, and it seems to be about a queen size bed. I thought it was king, but it's more like queen, only because we didn't want to come too far down this way. But what I found was that I could lay crossways or lengthways, and the bed was fine for me. I'm only 6 feet, whereas some people who camp are bigger. So the 2 cutout sections here, the center one is the table, and the one in front of it is basically, it comes out and then there's a hallway there, so you can walk up and sit down. So that's the daytime structure. And so it still gives us this whole area here from the bed up to the seat. We haven't yet figured out what it's going to be. Lots of ideas, but this 2x4 sticking out here is basically going to be the galley, and that's actually a really small galley, but keep in mind that the piece of bedboard behind it will have a mattress, but the galley's going to have a fold-out table that goes down on top of it. So therefore, the galley will actually be twice as long as it looks from that 2x4. Kaya's already learning to appreciate the new van. So obviously she needs 3 layers of pillow, not 2. She can see over the dashboard, and she can lay down if she wants to. She actually can jump down onto the floor down there if she wants to, but I found she tends to stay where she is. She still thinks that's a bit dangerous. So this is her posture when there's no passenger in the car.
So the legume table is here. So the table's in, right?
I'll show you. I'll show you where the table is.
So you take this off.
Take out the 2 pieces of the bedboard that have to be removed. And underneath is the table.
Okay.
So
Good.
probably we will eat. This tightens so it doesn't rotate.
Uh-huh.
Probably we're going to eat more or less like that.
Okay.
So there's actually seating for 3. However, the most important feature is the one where this now goes beside the galley and becomes
a counter.
a great big extra counter.
Yeah. That's great. Today we took the bed out and working on the floor. The bed only took like a half hour to take it out. It wasn't bad. So right now Dave is putting sound deadening there. It's a hard work. You have to mule there.
Yes, it's hard for the vertical.
It's like I put all those strips there.
So I've put the sound deadening on the van floor. I've missed some 1-inch strips in the floor, and the reason I went ahead and did that was because the part of the back where I've missed a section there is in the garage, so it doesn't seem as big a deal. There'll be additional sources of soundproofing, just the rest of the build in the van. So I thought I would save the sound deadening material so I could focus it on places like this. The wheel wells I'm doing with Reflectix, I've seen that done in other videos, and that seemed to go well. So I'm now ready to work on the actual insulation that goes on top of the sound deadening. It goes first of all in the little gullies in the floor to raise them up, and then all the way across, and then we put the wood on top of that. That's the subfloor. Then we could choose what we're putting on top of that. Jenny said she was thinking of carpet. I had considered linoleum, certainly easy to clean, but we haven't fully decided. I put down a 3/16 subfloor originally, and we decided to go with the absolute thinnest floor just so that I'd be able to stand up as much as possible. And then partway through I just said no, and I hadn't glued it down, so I just tossed it aside. Went out and bought 2 4x8 sheets of 1/2 inch, and I'm much happier with the floor, even if I do have to duck a little more. So we have floor from the very end, contoured to the back, all the way up, so it's fitted right up against the little piece of rubber flooring between the seats at the front. So now I have to take this up because it's only placed, and I have to put the rest of the insulation in the subfloor, and then glue this whole lot down.